Hello everybody, I'm Kamaleao and cards are getting nerfed. Hearthstone cards, that is. And I'm going to go over them and tell you what's going on there and what I think about it. So the first one is a Druid card, Ancient of Lore. This was somewhat expected that it's going to get nerfed, and what they're doing is they change the draw 2 cards or restore 5 health to draw 1 card or restore 5 health. And that is really significant. With drawing 2 cards you could say is like, yeah, mages can do that for a card and 3 mana, so that's worth 3 mana and a card, and that gets rolled into another card. So you essentially pay 4 mana and half a card and 1 card for a 5/5, and then you get the additional effect of another card without having it, or however you want to see that. So that was awesome. But 7 mana for a 5/5 is not good. Those stats are very bad for 7 mana. I mean, you get Dr. 7 for that. Sure, no longer in standard, but still. You get far better stuff. You get, for 6 mana you get Sylvanas, which is far... And the Sylvanas effect is potentially so much stronger than draw 1 card. It's essentially... Sylvanas effect can be kill a random enemy minion, draw a card which is that minion, and play it instantly. That's so much stronger than draw 1 card. It's the same stats and it's 1 less mana. And it doesn't see too much play. Sylvanas is played, but it's not like everybody who can put Sylvanas in his deck. So I don't think we're going to see too much of the Ancient of Lore anymore. The next thing is Force of Nature. And another change that was on everybody's mind, I think, was very obvious that the Force Savage combo would be nerfed in some way. People weren't sure, will it be the Force of Nature or the Savage Roar? And Blizzard decided to change the Force of Nature. And you can essentially just scratch the last 2 lines and make it 1 mana less. So for 5 mana, you get 3 Treants, each of them is a 2/2. No charge, but they don't die. At least not at the end of your turn. And that's it. The combo is dead now, which personally I think is great, because the combo was crap. Some people had the idea of just making Savage Roar 1 mana more, which put it up to 4. And I thought that was a completely pointless idea, because all that did was push the combo 1 turn later. But it didn't change anything, or would not have changed anything about the stupidity of the combo, or the boringness, or the non-interactiveness. That was the problem. It was just non-interactive. You, against a Druid player, if you got to 14 health, you could instantly die, and that's just no. On the other hand, now for 5 mana you get 6/6 worth of stats. Is that good? For 5 mana, 6/6 spread out over Treants? I don't know. With 2/2 Treants, they are obviously dangerously easily killed by AoE. There isn't too much AoE that's being played that deals 2 damage, but some. And that would hurt it pretty much. On the other hand, you can compare it to the Silverhand Knight. It's a 5 mana, and it's summoned 6/6 worth of stats. And almost nobody plays it in Constructed. I can't remember when the last time I saw a Silverhand Knight in Constructed. It just isn't run. It is a very good arena card, don't get me wrong. There in arena it's great, and I think Savage and Force of Nature will probably also be good in arena. But in Constructed, no. I don't think that we will see much Force of Nature anymore. So that's that. Next, Keeper of the Grove. Again, somewhat expected because Blizzard has said in the past that they want silence to be more expensive, and they don't want, and they won't want to target cards that are in every deck. And Keeper of the Grove fits both descriptions. It's a good, cheap, somewhat cheap silence effect. I mean, 4/4/2/4 is expensive, but it's a very strong card. It has a silence effect, and it was, or at the moment is, played in almost every Druid deck because it's just very versatile and very strong. And they kept the card cost at 4 mana, but they changed it to a 2/2, and that's horrible. I mean, for 4 mana, you get the Spellbreaker, which has the same effect. If you use it to silence, you get this, pay the same mana, you have 1 more health and 2 more attack. You have almost double the stats. Sure, 3 health is infinitely less good than 4 health, because all 3 2s now kill it. But still, for the same cost, you have a neutral minion that silences for 4/3, or that is a 2/2. And you trade all that off to have the chance to deal 2 damage right away. And I think that's just, that's pretty bad. I don't think that Keeper of the Grove is worth it anymore. How to change it? Maybe a 2/3 or 3/2 or a 4/2. Just flip the stats. 4/2. I think a 4/2 is worse than a 2/4. But then again, I don't play aggro decks, so hard to say. But the way they did it, I think it's too much. It's now just, if you want it for the silence effect, I don't see any reason to play Keeper of the Grove when there's a Spellbreaker. And Spellbreaker is not getting changed. So if you run it for the chance to have a silence, this is far better. For the damage, a 2/2 is not really worth 2 mana. I mean, you wouldn't play a vanilla 2/2 for 2 mana. You're paying, dealing 2 damage is usually a 1 mana card, like Smite, Holy Wrath, whatever. And so you have I'm where is it? Priest. Oh, come on. Don't tell me I don't have... Yeah, okay. Living Roots. Let's take Living Roots. It's a great example for it. It's 1 mana, deal 2 damage. Actually, in this case, with an upside, because you have the chance to do something else with it. So, dealing 2 damage is almost worth 1 mana. Oh, come on. Get away. So dealing 2 damage is a 1 mana card. Often enough, or it can even be in Druid, it's a 1 mana card with an upside because you have flexibility to place as 2/1/1 saplings instead. And it's not worth it. Let's take that away. 1 mana, then it's a 3 mana for a 2/2. That's horrible. Even if you say, okay, it's rolled into 1 card and that's a good thing, and it is, then it's still... No. So bottom line, Keeper of the Grove, I don't think that it's going to be a run anymore. If you want the silence, you just play a Spellbreaker. And if you want to deal 2 damage, play the saplings. And then you'll just be happier. I mean, living roots. So, bottom line, that's pretty much dead. Alright, so the next card also pretty much expected. Oh, let's just search for silence here. Is the good old Ironbeak Owl. Again, pretty much expected because they said they want to make silence more expensive, and everybody was running Ironbeak Owl as soon as they wanted silence, except for maybe druids. So it was obvious that that one's going to get nerfed. What they did is they made it a 3 mana minion, staying a 2/1. And that's dead. I don't see any reason to play a 3 mana 2/1 Battlecry Silencer minion over a 4 mana 4/3 Battlecry Silencer minion. For 1 more mana, you get 2 more attack and 2 more health. And you don't have it a 1 health minion anymore. Playing a 1 health minion on turn 3, that's just going to get pinged to death. So no. No more Ironbeak Owl. If you want silence, Spellbreaker is what you're going to take. And that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say about that. Is it okay? For a 3 mana, at least give it 1 more health or something. But a 2/1, those are the stats of a 1-drop. And then make it a 3-drop? That's too bad. Also in Arena, no. No, no, no. Next, also something many people expected, Big Game Hunter. And it's a 5 mana minion, or it will be a 5 mana minion, everything else stays the same. And I think this makes it more situational, more reliant on the current meta, because it's still, if you have a target for it, it's still good. It's still better than assassinating something, or even hexing, or polymorphing something, as long as it doesn't have a dangerous, very, very dangerous death rattle. And the change from 3 to 5 doesn't really change that. If it has a target, it's still an amazingly strong card. That's stronger than all the removal that the classes have. But if you don't have a target, it becomes crap. At the moment, it's essentially a 3 mana for 3 is more or less, or 3/4. That's about the stat line you get for 3 mana. So it's a little bit on the weak side for a 3-drop with an amazing effect. So if you can't pull off the effect, playing it just as a 3-drop was not good, but it wasn't terrible either. And now as a 5-drop with 4/2, that's terrible. So I think it'll still see play, and it'll always depend on, I think people will start playing big minions. Lots of big minions. Lots of people will do that. Then people will start playing more of big game hunters. Then the first people will come up with decks that have nothing with 7 or more attack. And that will give the people who run 1 or even 2 big game hunters dead cards in their hand, or as almost dead cards. And then they will play less big game hunters, and then people will start, oh, nobody's running big game hunter anymore, I can bring out the big creatures again. And that will go on and on like that, I think. Possibly. Sorry. So yeah, that's good, I think. It still has the problem that if it works, it's just so much better than every other way of removing creatures. But it's expensive enough that it actually really hurts you if it doesn't work. So yeah, I kind of like this change. I don't think they killed it, but it's probably appropriate. Oh, come on. Where's my... Don't do that with me. Okay. I'm too stupid to search, so where's the hunter? There's the hunter. And why don't I have Hunter's Mark? Ah, because I wasn't crafting. Okay. Hunter's Mark. Change your minion's health to 1. For 0 mana. That's... In every other class, this would be a very, very strong card. In Hunter, the only reason it's not a really strong card in Hunter is because Hunter doesn't care for your minions, it cares for your face and nothing else. And I think Blizzard is trying to push Hunter, or wants Hunters to play other decks than face, which is a nice idea. And if people already did that, actually did that, then this would be a really strong card. And an overly efficient card. So they're increasing its cost to 1. I don't think that that's really necessary. I don't think that this card is an issue at all, because it is barely run as it is. Sure, sometimes a hunter will have one of those in his deck, but the thing is, Hunter is a face deck. Almost always. For the simple reason that Hunter's ability, the hero ability, is only good when you're playing aggressive. It's only good when you go for face, and becomes better the more you go for face. An all-out face deck and the Hunter's ability power is actually quite powerful. And the more you go away from that, the less good it becomes. If your game plan is not to hit his face at all, but only to attack and keep board control and hope that he runs out of cards and starves, then your hero ability is nothing. So it goes from nothing, where you don't try to rush to kill your opponent with damage, to incredibly good if you do nothing else but go for his face. And in every other instance than going for his face, every other hero ability is better than the Hunter's hero ability. So every other class has an automatic advantage over Hunter control, or Hunter not face. And therefore, I don't think that it really makes sense not to play face Hunter if you're playing Hunter, or at least an extremely aggressive Hunter. And since this is not an aggressive card, it's a control-y card, I don't think that this was much of a problem. But maybe with the cards to come, there's a reason for Hunter not to play aggro. But since the hero power of Hunter is definitely staying the way it is, I don't think that that's going to change, because with a hero power that's only useful for going for face, you will be at an automatic disadvantage against every other class if you're not going for face or extremely aggressive. So yeah, I don't really care for this change. I don't think that it has any impact, because Hunter's Mark is not a card that's run often. Next we have Blade Flurry. Blade Flurry, I think at the moment Blade Flurry is very, very strong, especially with oil. You could say with oil going out, Blade Flurry becomes weaker, and it is. But the main reason I think that why they changed this is that it limits design space. It's very cheap, and you can't really give Rogue more weapons or good weapon buffs as long as this is around, because it's just way too strong. With an oiled weapon, I mean, the damage you can dish out in one turn is amazing. And that just limits the cards they can print that deal with or interact with the rogue's weapon, that make it stronger, that do anything with it. The way they change it to 4 mana and make it destroy your weapon and deal its damage to enemy minions, only minions. And at first glance that seems like an extremely harsh nerf. They double the mana cost and they nerf the text, the effect. It no longer hits the enemy face. But if you compare it to Shadowflame, Shadowflame is 4 mana. It destroys a friendly minion and deals its attack damage to all enemy minions. So you pay 4 mana, you destroy something of yourself and deal its damage to everybody else, to every enemy minion. And in this case you destroy a creature, which is a bit more flexible, granted. And with Blade Flurry you destroy your weapon for the same amount of mana to do exactly the same, to deal its attack damage to all enemy minions. And Shadowflame is not a bad card. It's not run in every deck, or in every Warlock deck, obviously, but it's not horrible. It has its place and its uses, and I think that with Blade Flurry it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same as Shadowflame. It's not going to be an auto-include, but always depending on the meta, if you have a need for AoE, I think Blade Flurry might still be alright, might still be good actually. Especially when, with this change, Blizzard is open to improving the rogue's weapon and weapon sets a little bit. Because if the card that interacts with your weapon and destroys your weapon to deal damage gets worse, but your weapon gets better, then it's less of a nerf. So I think this Blade Flurry nerf, it opens up more design space for weapon and weapon interaction in Rogue, and with better weapons the effect of Blade Flurry becomes better again. So I think we'll have to see. It might still be good, it might still be playable, and might still be viable, but no longer viable for ultra aggressive face decking or one-turn kill combos or anything like that. The next one is the Knife Juggler. Now the Knife Juggler is actually, if you think about it, it's an insane card. It's a 2 mana 3/2, so its base stats are already top notch. A 3/2, that's the, without a downside you're not going to get better stats. If you want anything better, you get a disadvantage on the card. But on top of that, you get an ability that's almost always an advantage. Of course there's instances where your opponent has an Acolyte of Pain and you don't want to hit it, but the Knife Juggler does hit it. Stuff like that does happen, but like 95% of the time this ability is amazingly good. And they nerf it to a 2/2 for 2 mana. So the baseline stat is now something that you would not play in Constructed, but it has an upside. And this is how it usually works, or should work. You pay for worse, you pay for an upside with a little bit worse stats. I think that's a good change. A 2/2 is not horrible, it's not going to kill the card outright. And also the Knife Juggler suffers a bit from the departure of Master for Battle and stuff like that. And you have the Warlock. Come on, go away. Implosion is going out because it's GVG. And those were two very important combo cards. Another important combo card is the Haunted Creeper, which is also going out. So all that takes down the power level of Knife Juggler a bit. But at the same time, I think it would still be too strong. I mean, it has top-notch stats for its cost and an upside, and that's just a little bit too much. So yeah, with 2/2 stats, I think it will still see play. But it is not the true drop you'd go for all the time. In Arena, I also think it's still a good card. Next is the Leper Gnome. Now this is also a bit of a problem. Every aggro deck ran it. Every single one, and it potentially dealt way too much damage. Let's say you play it on turn 1. You went first. Your opponent doesn't have a turn 1 and can't coin out 1 damage hero power. It's your turn. You attack face 2 damage. You play something else. His turn, he plays a 2-drop. Your turn, you attack his face 4 damage. His turn, he uses his 2-drop to kill it. Maybe his 2-drop only had 2 health, so it dies as well. And 2 damage to his face. So it dealt 6 damage to his face and took away a card. And killed a 2-drop and all that for 1 mana. That's just way too much. And this is not a completely unrealistic scenario. That does happen as an opening. So they change it. The mana costs stay the same. The text stays the same. It's a 1/1 now. Will it still see play through that? I don't know. Honestly, I rarely play aggro decks, so I'm not so sure. Maybe. I mean, it's still not bad if you play it for 1 mana and have, or if it has 1 attack and you go through the same scenario. I play it on my turn, enemy does nothing. I attack 1 damage, he plays a 2-drop. My turn, no, 1 more damage, 2 damage now. Then he kills it and 2 more damage, so 4 damage, and almost certainly his minion didn't die. I don't think that that's good. I don't think that this will see too much play. But I could be wrong. Because, well, I'm not an aggro player, I don't know how important it is. I think other 1-drops for aggro are now a little bit better. And in Arena, no. Next thing is Arcane Golem. Again, this card was used for non-interactive plays, like play it, buff it like hell, and like you play it, power overwhelming, and faceless manipulator, and then you had 2 insane Arcane Golems, and rushed your opponent down. And that's not good. Blizzard has stated that they want less charge, and charge is going to be used sparingly from now on. So what they do, they take away the charge, Battlecry stays the same, and buff it to a 4/4. Personally, I think that's bad. I mean, what other 4/4 do you have? You have your, is he called Ogre? Yeah, the Ogre Brute for 3 mana. And who's playing that in Constructed? Right, nobody. In Arena, don't get me wrong, in Arena it's a pretty good card. Actually, in Arena it's one of the, personally I think it's one of the best 3-drops in Arena. It's really great in Arena. In Constructed, I don't think that I've ever seen it being played. It's horrible and constructed. So no. And the effect give your opponent one mana crystal, especially early on, is far worse than this effect. Of course, later in the game, if it's past turn 10, then the effect of Arcane Golem is nothing. So then it's better than Ogre Brute. But right now, no. At turn 3? No. No. You'd rather have a minion that attacks the wrong enemy 50% of the time than to give your opponent a mana crystal. That's horrible. So another is Dancing Swords, not Dancing Blades. Another comparison is Dancing Swords, which is also the same amount of mana and the same stats, and Death Rattle, your opponent draws a card. I think this Death Rattle is, on turn 3, of course, less bad than giving your opponent a mana crystal. And nobody plays Dancing Swords except for the few and far between mill decks. And in Arena it's crap. So no. Arcane Golem, I'm sorry, but a 4/4 for 3, give your opponent a mana crystal, that downside is just too much. I don't think that anybody's going to play them. Next is one of the giants, the Molten Giant. It's going to get nerfed by 5 mana. It's a 25 mana now. So far you could play it, could start playing it when you were 20 health, and it was for free at 10. So now you can start playing it at 15 health, and it's for free at 5. So free Molten Giants, no, I don't think that that's going to happen, even with taking out some of the rush minions. You don't want to drop down to 5 health. That's just too much. But because at 5 health you're going to get crackled and fireballed and everything, so you're not going to play this for free anymore. I don't know, I think that's so much nerf that it's out. I'm not sure. I mean, I played Handlock for quite a while, and I like the style of Handlock. I don't think I would play Molten Giant anymore when it was at 25 mana. That's just too much of a hit. In Arena, obviously, no, not anymore. I wasn't a good Arena card anyway. At least I think so. And now with the 25 baseline mana, it's horrible. So yeah, Molten Giant, you're pretty much dead. And finally, the last card is Master of Disguise. The Master of Disguise is changed in its text to give a friendly minion stealth until your next turn. Nobody plays Master of Disguise as it is. But the reason behind that is that Blizzard has been very careful not to include any minion that would, or any neutral minion that would become extremely overpowered if it had permanent stealth. Like, suddenly your hero can only take one damage at a time. And the minion that gives you that has permanent stealth. Oh, there is a nice little demon that makes your hero invincible until it dies, and it has permanent stealth. So yeah, from a design perspective, I agree that Master of Disguise is bad, and it limits your possibilities. But making a card that's already never played even worse, I mean, they could have just erased it altogether. And I don't agree with stuff like that. Personally, I think they could have made it Maybe make it a 3 mana 3/4, give a friendly minion stealth to next turn. I don't think that that's really great either, but maybe. And 3 mana 3/4 with an upside is something that, yeah, that class cards have. That's actually somewhat normal in class cards. Your Priest has that with Dark Cultist. Rogue has that. So I think a 3/4 with an upside, that might actually be playable. But a 4 mana 4/4 with an ability that nobody used, and you make that ability worse, that's completely pointless now. I agree why they made the change, and it was very expected, but I would have preferred, yeah, something like 3 mana 3/4, stealth something to your next turn. Then you could maybe have played around with it. But the way it is, yeah, that's a bit sad. So that's it. Those are the changes and my thoughts about them. As most of the time I think Blizzard nerfed cards into the ground. With 1 or 2 exceptions like Knife Juggler, maybe Blade Flurry, Big Game Hunter, and yeah. Force of Nature is still not bad in Arena, I think. Hunter's Mark, yeah, I don't really care about that. And with Blade Flurry we'll have to wait and see. If the weapons get a little bit better, then Blade Flurry also gets a little bit better. But stuff like Arcane Golem, that's a joke now. Ironbeak Owl, no. Keeper of the Grove, no. Ancient of Lore, no. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm coming out. Have a good time.